Preparations before opening of polls on polling day. 3.1. Time period from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m.
On polling day, all polling station staff must always arrive at their assigned polling stations by no later than 6 a.m. Preparation has to be completed in good time so that the polling station opens at 7 a.m. sharp.
Care to tell us about the activities?
The presiding officer and his or her polling staff must ensure that all electoral equipment, tables, and chairs were correctly set up from the day before. All polling staff must have their polling staff badges, and the presiding officer should ensure that no one is wearing any political party specific regalia. Direction posters must be put up by the polling station staff in good positions where everyone can see and follow them without getting confused or lost. If not already done from the day before, then the single-sided copy of the voter's roll must now be attached near the entrance of the outside wall of the polling station. This voter's roll will make it possible for voters to confirm by themselves that they are indeed at the correct polling station before they spend any time waiting in any queue. From 6 a.m. onwards, every elections agent present at the polling station must be processed by the presiding officer and given his or her filled-in election agent badge. Election agents are not allowed to wear party regalia, campaign t-shirts, caps, buttons, etc. If they are wearing such items, then they must either remove them or put them away in their bags or conceal them.
No one is allowed to drive vehicles with campaign posters or stickers within 300 meters of a polling station or counting center.
Electoral materials such as voters' rolls, pens, rulers, ballot papers, stamp pad, acetone, indelible ink marking pens, and so on must be given to the appropriate polling staff performing their tasks. Now, Chapter 3.2, the time period between 6:30 a.m. and 7 a.m. From 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m., the presiding officer must demonstrate that the ballot box is empty and in full sight of all election agents and observers, and then seal it. Lock the ballot box using the two provided padlocks and place the keys in a small envelope that is sealed and taped to the top of the ballot box lid. In the case of harmonized elections, repeat the above steps for each required ballot box. There should be a separate ballot box for each election. Make sure that you attach two labels on opposite sides of the ballot box that clearly indicate which ballot box is for which election. Invite election agents and observers to take note of the ballot box seal serial numbers. They can record these for their own purposes. Of course, this is if they wish to do so. Invite election agents to place their signatures on the envelope containing the keys, also if they wish to do so. Please ensure that the ballot boxes are clearly visible from the presiding officer's desk, as well as from the election agent's and observer's position.
The presiding officer must announce the ballot paper serial numbers to everyone. The presiding officer, polling staff, police, election agents, and observers, if any, must sign the attendance register.
What time should they be there, and what time will the polling start?
There's a list of accredited election agents for every polling station. If at the time when the ballot boxes are to be demonstrated to be empty before sealing, any election agents are not present, their names must be recorded by the recording officer on the pro forma PE 2005/7, record of absence of election agent at the commencement of poll. There is no need to wait for them. Polling must start, however, still begin at the stipulated time, which is 7 a.m. If a presiding officer falls ill or fails to reach the polling station on time due to an emergency, the constituency elections officer must be informed immediately by one of the polling staff so that he or she may appoint another staff member from the polling station to serve as the presiding officer.
What must happen if the polling station couldn't open on time for any reason or the other?
That is a very good question, but I think you can answer that.
When a polling station could not open on time and instead had to open at a later time, the presiding officer must inform the constituency elections officer as soon as possible. The constituency elections officer may fix a later opening and closing time for that particular polling station, for it to remain open for voting for at least 12 continuous hours, as per Section 53.1 of the Electoral Act. In such an eventuality, any voters already in the queue at the newly appointed closing time must be allowed to vote. Similarly, no voters may join the queue after the stated closing time.